I cannot believe New York City just elected a 34-year-old Democrat socialist, Zohran Mamdani, as mayor, beating the old dog Andrew Cuomo and steamrolling the GOP. Biggest youth surge in years. They had record turnout, and yes, he's the only major candidate who openly refused to do the whole traditional trip to Israel. For me, that was the line in the sand to show where his loyalties lie. He's New York City first, America first, which to me gave him the win. So, what does it mean for the right? Why the Groypers are surging, and where does American socialism go from here? And this race wasn't a squeaker. Mandami cleared 50% citywide. He beat Cuomo by nearly 9 points and carried four of the five boroughs, losing only to Staten Island. Total turnout topped 2 million, the first time since 1969. That's crazy, the amount of turnout. This was a race to be won, that's for sure. He also became the New York City's youngest mayor in over a century, and he is the first Muslim mayor ever of New York City. He did it with a ground game that looked less like a campaign and more like a movement. Massive, dollar energy, huge volunteer corps, and an affordability message. Rent freezes, cheaper transit, public basics that landed with the voters. They want a cost of living to go down. It is an absolute crisis, especially in New York City. So, where is this Israel break? And here's the point the GOP is missing. Mandami wouldn't commit to the ritual US Israel visit that every New York City mayor has done for decades, and he refused to march in the Israel Day parade. Instead, he said, "My job is to work with New Yorkers here." That line became a cultural Rorschach test. Critics called it hostile, supporters called it honest. Either way, he broke the mold, and he certainly did win, and he won by breaking the mold. And I really do think that the whole Israel, his stance on Israel, was a huge, huge win for him. And well, just have a look at the video here. It explains everything. And it's just not where the country, I believe, especially the younger voters, are going right now.
And mayor of New York is always considered significant. Where would you go first? Left, right, besides.
First visit, I would visit the Holy Land.
Mr. Cuomo?
Given the hostility and the anti-Semitism that has been shown in New York, I would go to Israel.
Mr. Tilson, where would you go?
Yeah, I'd make my fourth trip to Israel, followed by my fifth trip to Ukraine, two of our greatest allies fighting on the front lines of the global war on terror.
Mr. Mamdani?
I would stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the five boroughs and focus on that.
Mr. Mamdani, can I just jump in? Would you visit Israel as mayor?
I will be doing, as the mayor, I'll be standing up for Jewish New Yorkers, and I'll be meeting them wherever they are across the five boroughs, whether that's in their synagogues and temples, or at their homes, or at the subway platform, because ultimately we need to focus on delivering on their concerns.
And just yes or no, do you believe in a Jewish state of Israel?
I believe Israel has the right to exist.
Not
as a Jewish state?
No,
as a state with equal rights.
He won't say it has a right to exist as a Jewish state. Be very
And
clear.
his answer was no, he won't visit Israel.
I said that.
That's what he was trying to say.
No, unlike you, I answered. Unlike you, I
never
answered
said
questions
no.
very directly.
My goal would be to take my first trip to Israel. My wife's life work in this area means a lot to our family.
Well, so they got Andrew Cuomo coming at him like, no, listen to him. He said he's not going to go to Israel. Like it's like going against his best interest. Where Cuomo, they're so out to lunch, they don't realize that going pro-Israel is what's going to cost you the election. The missteps here are they're just not listening to what people are saying, and this is exactly where this loss came from. You know, there there has been some blowback with the Jewish people, that's for sure. But major Jewish groups and headlines across Israel-focused outlets were definitely giving him some blowback, but voters, especially the younger ones, didn't punish him for it. And that's the data point national operatives are really underestimating. There was also a large Jewish supporter group as well. So not all Jews were against him. And you can see here, I'll just blow this up so you can see it, but there was a lot of Jewish people for Mandami. So he wasn't, I think people are having the difficulty from equating Jews and Israel. I don't believe they're one and the same. I think that there's one and the other. Um, so there's a lot of Jewish people that don't like what's going on in Israel right now, and I'm sure those are the ones that are backing Mandami. So it wasn't, to me, him going against or saying America first is what people want to hear. That's the buzzword that people want to hear, America first. And he definitely sent that message out. So then we have, the Cuomo money versus the Mandami votes. And there was more money for Cuomo, and then there was more votes for Mandami. Cuomo came in with a big name and plenty of money, plus outside groups and billionaire class donors throwing serious cash into anti-Mandami efforts. The late air was intense, but it didn't matter. Mandami's coalition, they out-organized them, they out-messaged them, and they outvoted the money. They're the old oligarchs there. They have an old playbook, but this is definitely a New York City. So I show you the numbers here. They're very actually surprising, the amount of money. So they had $15 million, close to $16 million going against Mandami. Then they had another $10 million going towards Como. So pretty much Como had probably 26 million, almost 27 million going in his favor, and Mandami had 2.32 million. And it's just unbelievable that the money is not buying votes these days. It's messaging that is buying votes. You know, it really is. And he had literally the biggest haul of votes in 50 plus years. Mandami became the first New York City mayoral candidate since 1969 to crack $1 million votes. So really think about that. Let that sink in. This isn't a niche win. It's a mandate in the country's biggest city. And then you have this whole youth quake. Exit data and early vote numbers tell the story. Under 45 voters broke hard for Mandami. Early voting smashed records, and younger voters made up for the majority of all the early ballots. So have a look here at the breakdown of the age gap here. And he was completely flipped the usual pattern. So you have the 45 and under with the men, 69, 67%. And then with the women under 30, they're at 80, almost 85%. And the under 45 is up to 65%. So he really, really dominated that 45 and under. And the problem is that these people, he had the older group, for sure, but that older group, they're dying off. So what the GOP doesn't realize is they have to really focus on this younger group, because their old establishment is dying off. They really have to focus on this newer generation, because, like I said, the Nick Fuentes of the world are coming up, and they're coming up strong, and they're really made an impact. And then it comes down to the money of it all. And then when your rent eats your paycheck, the whole law and order plus tax credits, that does not working for this group. It just doesn't land. Affordability did. And so have a look here at the numbers, because they were saying that, all the rich people were kind of voting for Cuomo. So the whole, over $300,000 income family, definitely 62% for Como. And what I thought was very ironic is the under 30,000. They were at 48%, but Mandami was at 42. But really, between the 30,000 and the 300,000 is where he got his votes. And, like, to be honest, like, $100,000 in New York City is not giving you like a high standard of living. It's almost like, even for a family of four, that it would be hard to even. The housing is just incredible. Plus the price of food and everything else, it is really unaffordable. So you would have to be at almost 300,000 for a family of four to even live somewhat comfortably, I think, in New York City. So that brings me over to what's going on with the whole civil rights war amongst the GOP. And it was supercharged by Tucker Carlson's platforming of Nick Fuentes. I never saw anything like this. Like, who gives a shit if Tucker Carlson wants to talk to Nick Fuentes and find out what he's actually getting at, what his points of view. And what I think Tucker Carlson realizes, that there is a whole wave of momentum behind Nick Fuentes. He is touching the younger voters. Trust me, I got 18, three boys, 18, 21, and 22. and they all listen to Nick Fuentes. That is the next up and coming group. I wouldn't be worrying about the 65 and over, not that they don't matter, but what's the up and coming, the up and comers, or that the demographic that he is nailing down. And you can see even from that race, in New York City, the 45 and under. So it used to be the 30 and under, and now I think it's like the 45 and under that really have to pay attention to what's going on. And even in this interview, it really exposed the raw split. You have the establishment Republicans defending the old alliance structure, while the America First wing wants to rethink foreign aid and posture, including on Israel. And I think that is the biggest issue is Israel. This rift isn't theoretical, it's reorganizing the coalition under the surface. You can see why New York City's results terrified GOP strategists when younger voters associate status quo with endless foreign entanglements and unaffordable rent. They don't come right, they go populist. Nationalists or socialists, both currents are rising. And then you have the Groypers and Nick Fuentes. Like it or not, the Groypers are gaining oxygen. They really are. I'm seeing it, literally seeing it firsthand. And even before Election Day, Fuentes was boasting about influence inside youth GOP circles, and legacy conservative groups were scrambling to quarantine it. The point isn't to endorse, it's to understand. And the right use lane is fragmenting, and that fragmentation really opens up space on left candidates like Mamdani. And they need to consolidate that young, disillusioned voters, and they want a clean break on foreign policy and economics. They're America first, very strongly American first. They are not Israel first. So, and I saw this post, and Elon Musk commented on it, but they're saying Groypers were at Zohran Mamdani's election party celebrating his win. If you ever needed more proof of that, is the psyop to divide the right and have the left win. Here it is. And Elon Musk is behind it, but I don't really think that's happening. I think that the right is not understanding where the right young boy or young men or women they're at. They're at America first. Period. They're so over Israel, and every time they try to shove Israel and anti-Semitism down their throat, they're pretty much going to turn on and tell you to fuck off, because they're if anybody call one of my and it's become, they say it so much, it's just white noise. If one of my kids said something about anti-Israel and someone called him an anti-Semite, he would literally tell him to go fuck off. Like, seriously, it's not even a thing anymore. They're all Nick Fuentes, and with his attitude too, because I think they're all over it. So, and where's the result of that? And that's where, if anything, the New York City mayor race shows is that, where is socialism coming? Is it coming to the United States? And I thought this poll was very interesting. The Gallup finds that 39% of Americans view socialism positively, flat in recent years, while capitalism favorably just slipped to 54%. Never in a million years would I think that the United States would be even thinking anything positively about socialism. So here's the graph here. You have capitalism going down to 54, but the most stunning thing is the socialism going up. Like I said, never in a million years that I would ever think that happened. Coming from a socialist country, there's some positives, but I never thought in a million years that the Americans would be heading down the socialism road, that's for sure. So you have, even among Democrats, 2/3 view socialism positively. And that doesn't mean the revolution is going to be tomorrow, but it does mean the brand is less scary to the voters who are shaping primaries and urban coalitions. Meanwhile, you have the Democrat Socialists of America, and they claim they have roughly 80,000 members, which is very high. It's the highest they ever had. And these organizers, they turn online energy into door knocks. And the translation, the infrastructure for left candidates is sturdier than pundits admit. The prediction, well, I think that in blue metros and university anchored regions, we'll see more Mamdani style platforms. We'll see rent action, fair relief, public basics, win cities and county offices. Statewide, that's questionable. But the tougher thing is the ceiling remains real outside deep blue territory. But if housing seems brutal and wages lag, material socialism, policies people can feel, will keep gaining momentum. Expect copycats in Chicago, LA, Boston and Philadelphia, where there's going to be this progress blocks and there's going to be a fresh wave in new legislatures from New York City to Nevada. So, where are both parties missing? Well, the Democrats, they don't misread this as culture war referendum. Young voters rewarded a cost of living agenda with unapologetic moral stances. Both mattered. And then you have the Republicans on the other side. The Israel litmus test is bleeding Gen Z and younger millennials who want less overseas fixation and more relief at home. You don't have to agree with Mondavi to see the shift, but you do just have to look at the votes and kind of interpret what the votes are. And those votes, like I said, those numbers have a story. There is a meaning there. So, what is the bottom line? New York just told the political class what the decade looks like. If you can build a movement, survive a media firestorm over Israel, and still post the biggest vote haul in half a century, you didn't catch a wave. You literally are the wave. The only question now is who rides it next? And this is going to be very interesting. I really do think I'm shocked that, like I said, socialism is becoming a thing in the United States, never in a million years. But what I really think is happening is people are so over Israel and Israel first that they're going to vote for anything else. And I think that's what happened in the last election, especially for the independents. The independents, that's who you have to win is that independent votes because they're really going to sway the election. And people that might not agree with the Democrats or agree more or GOPers, but once they get faced with, hey, am I going to keep voting this way? And they're going to keep putting Israel first. And I'm just kind of backing that. Or do I want nothing to do with that? And if I vote, I want to just vote against that. Vote against that. And then I have to, there's only one other alternative. So, and it's like, can you live with the other side? And when prices are just going up and up and up, and there has been no break, and the grocery costs that were supposed to come down, gas prices have come down a little bit, but not anything significantly. And the inflation has just bumped up again from 2.5 to heading closer to 3. So is Trump really focused on the economy here, or is he worried more about what's going on in Israel? And there were supposed to be no wars. Then there's been 2 wars since he's become in office. So I think that the MAGA movement, and don't even get me started on Epstein, that has been a huge disappointment, but I think that would be a disappointment on both sides. But I really do think that um, people don't want Israel first, and I really truly believe that's why that was one kicker. And when Cuomo was trying to go like give him a dig, like, well, he said he's not for Israel. No, when he said no, I'm not going to go to Israel. I have no reason to go to Israel. My job is to make sure New York City is a viable city for the people that live there and that can afford to live, can afford groceries. I have no reason to go to Israel. And they're all fighting amongst themselves like, well, I'm going to go to Israel. No, I'm going to go to Israel. And no one gives a shit about Cuomo or any of them go to Israel. When Dami's message was New York City first, America first. And that's what won the election 100% hands down. And he overcame a lot of obstacles being a Muslim, New York City, being young. He had so many obstacles to overcome, lack of funding. And that's what I came down. Messages win, and that will win the next election. And the Nick Fuentes of the world, everybody's buying into his message. No one's buying into Israel first or any of that anymore. It's America first. So you better watch out for the Groypers because they're coming, and they're coming hard and fast. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Please like, subscribe, share, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.